Good evening. Good evening. As always, just want to wait for a few people to come on. Hope everyone is well. Just wait to do the formalities as we always do. Hello. Hi, Sasha. Donna. Evening. Jordan, how you doing? Just make sure you let me know. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Is the internet, everything okay? Please let me know. I know it's a bit of a late one. All can hear me, yeah? Okay, good. So the reason I've come on late in the evening to do this is a serious reason. I tried to approach people, some people that I believed would be able to make this into what it needed to be. And as you can probably see from the title, this is called the Migrant Phone. Now, with everything that's going on, and I just want to say, firstly, I'm so happy that Reese has been released. I haven't heard yet that he's at home, but I'd imagine he is. So I just wanted to say that we're very thankful as a patriotic movement that Reese is now home, hopefully with his wife and kids, always on his way and he's nearly there. So secondly is, yeah, I got this feeling that this needed to be done because I've approached some people and asked them and explained to them what's on this phone. So just to go back to the very beginning, how did I find this phone? How did it end up in my possession? I'll explain. So one of the, maybe the third or fourth, maybe a bit longer actually, maybe the fifth or sixth trip I did to France, one of the things that was quite mad to us was the amount of things we were finding on the beach, be it clothing, be it bags, be it shoes, be it everything. And then we started finding, you know, other things like the bags. People were just dropping bags, you know, with all sorts of stuff. And we found IDs on the floor, if you remember. Omar's in the boot, Omar's in the boot, and all that. So we're finding IDs, finding everything. And then when we were actually walking across sort of the sand dunes, I remember looking down and seeing this black shadow. And as I looked down, I could see it was a phone. I thought, wow, okay. Picked the phone up. It could have been a French tour. It could have been a French person. Could have been anything. So I got my battery pack out, tried to turn the thing on. It wouldn't turn on. It just came up with the battery signs. So I got my battery pack out and I plugged it in. And long and behold, it started charging. I thought, well, it's not water damaged. I think it was probably because it was more like a grassy, sandy area rather than purely on the sand where the water had hit. So, and maybe he dropped it. Anyway, so it turned on. And when it turned on, I flicked it up and long and behold, there was no PIN number on it. I thought, what are the chances? Number one, of finding a phone on the beach. Number two, that it actually turned on. Number three, that you could access it. Number four, you know, there was no PIN. It was gold. Because I thought, okay, this is going to give us a real insight into the mindset of these people, these men. So I left it for that. I put it in my pocket. And as many of you know, we looked at certain things and I started realizing that there was bits and pieces on there that needed to be exposed. So I approached some people and they weren't very interested in it. I think it's a bit of a topic for some reason they didn't want to touch. So I thought, well, I can't just let it go. People need to understand the mindset. They need to understand that these men are coming from third world countries, as we know, and when they're in their countries, they don't have the privilege of living the way that Westerners do. And that also means they don't have the Westernized society, you know, girls dressing how they do, you know, even at a young age. And I started realizing after really looking into this phone that this guy had an obsession with very young white girls. That became evident from his photos, from videos. from his searches, from him messaging on different apps. So I'm going to show you everything right now. And what that's going to do is make you understand where we're at in the mindset. So this guy is currently in a hotel. I know exactly where he is. I would like to reach out to some patriots potentially that are near to this hotel. I'm not sure how that looked yet, but by the end of this video, I'm sure you'll understand why that is necessary. Probably should have happened already. Unfortunately, a lot has been going on, as you know. The French authorities put a unanimous ban on anyone gathering in the north of France. On the Saturday we were in France, they couldn't find us because I was very intelligent. I mean, I knew exactly as soon as I saw that report, and I was passed by my source that said they want you and they want you badly. And long and behold, they were hunting me like a terrorist, hunting me like an animal on that Saturday. And I made sure that we did what was necessary to get the footage that I knew we were there to get. But I was then also very, very smart in thinking that this was needed to be done in a smart manner and make sure that no one got arrested. Long and behold, the whole Saturday, even though a lot of people were stopped and a lot of people didn't even make it to us, and I've personally apologised to as many as I can for that, but it was sort of out of my hands. I didn't want to bring anyone to us that could then be seen as being with us and being arrested, because that's what they wanted. You know, some in the UK wanted that, some in England wanted that, and a lot of the French NGOs wanted that, and we did it so that no one got arrested. Frustrations were there, but at the end of the day, no one got arrested, and that was the main point. And then there comes the Sunday. Obviously, we've left, and I get information that this young lad and another, which I have no information about this other guy. I need to speak to Reese when I get an opportunity to, and he has my number. And he was on the beach. He was independent from anything from us. He wasn't there on my orders. He wasn't there on my shout out, even though, you know, it probably had something to do with him being there. It wasn't for me. He was just on the beach. He was just on the beach. He was had a live stream going, talking about the migrants, and suddenly he was arrested, detained, put into a centre that was just, you know, I'm hearing, I mean, this has come directly from the family. I mean, I'm hearing he nearly got tortured. They put him with a load of, I think from what I'm hearing, this is not gospel, but from what I'm hearing, they put him with a load of murderers. He had a few fights in there. This is coming directly from, so, you know, they put him in with the dogs. They put him in with the dogs, and I'd imagine that this centre that he was put into was maybe a holding centre for the migrants that have been arrested in France for committing crimes. So horrific. But he's out. He was held for a whole week, and he's now on his way home, as I said. And you know, they needed those headlines. They could not let that weekend go without having that headline. British far right, ultra far right. No, young lad, streamer, went there, and he just nabbed. Insane. But anyway, I want to go back to why I'm doing this video. This is called The Migrant. This video is all to do about the migrant phone. This is to show you and make you understand why it's so necessary and why I am the way I am. I know a lot more than some people. People that I speak to, my sources in France and England, know a lot more than me. And when they give me the information, it affects me because I just think how dangerous it is for these men to be within our country. Anyway, so the migrant phone. So this is the phone. This is what I was faced with. I don't know who this girl is. That's also an issue. So this is what we were faced with. So I'm going to bring the camera down now. I'm going to switch it around, and I'm going to give you, and just tell me if any of this becomes an issue and you can't see or hear anything. So I'm going to go up first. So I'm going to show you this video first. This video is a screen recording that I found on his phone. So he sent this to people, but he's screen recorded himself, okay, watching a live video from TikTok. So these videos are widely available. The reason I can show this, and a lawyer and ChatGPT has said, because they're not private videos. These are a live video from thingy. I can show these because they're not girls from the UK. So these are widely available. That I have to say that for legal purposes. So this guy's been watching these young girls. I would estimate these girls are probably around 11, 12 years old, max 13. I think an absolute push would be 14. But yeah, let's see what this guy. So he's watching this. This is what he does. So he's screen recording, as you can see at the top there. So that's him there. That's his screen. That's his background screen. He now goes on to a translation app on his phone, Google Translate. And now I want you to see what he writes in his language, translates it into the language that these girls understand. And at the minute, I want you to concentrate at the bottom of this screen area here when he finishes writing what he does. So I'm not sure what he's from Sudan. So I'd imagine that this is whatever language that they're using there. So he's gone off the live stream. He's now trying to speak to these girls. So he has to use a translation app. Okay. So then he uses a translation. I'm guessing this is the girl's language. But I want you to, as I said, I want you to concentrate at the bottom here when it actually puts it into English, what it says. So read the bottom there in a second. Read what it says. It says, tell Sarah, come back up in a second. Tell Sarah that I want to marry her. Yeah, so that's what he's written. He's now gone back on to Instagram. And he's now trying to find that live stream again. I think he doesn't find it because I think the girls have come off the live stream. So he then, obviously he's trying to, so he goes on to the girl's message and he thinks about obviously writing to her, but then he goes, I mean, look how young she is. And he's screen recorded himself doing this. I mean, she is young. I mean, I would say 13. Okay. So I want you to take note of the, as well, of the profile name, Rudy 26. Yeah. Do you see Rudy 26? So then he stops. Okay. So I just want to talk about really quickly, just want to talk about that before I move on. I hope that light there isn't causing an issue for anyone. So what you've just seen there is this guy has screen recorded himself watching 12, 13-year-old girls. He's then gone on a translation app and he's typed in, tell Sarah, the young girl, I want to marry her. And this is probably, I would say 28, 30-year-old man saying this to young girls. So just bear that in mind. And I want you to bear in mind that profile that was used, okay? Now, bear that in mind. Now, do you recognize the name? Yeah? Do you recognize the profile? Rudy 26, yeah? Now, let's have a little look who he's been messaging on this profile. And long behold, it is just lots and lots of little girls. Okay, let's go on to one of these here. Actually, where is it? This one. I think this was one of them. I'm going to translate that. How old are you? Asking them how old he is, how old they are, and then so. Again, he's. I don't really want to go on because I don't want to show these girls because obviously they're young girls, but he's going and he's messaging very young girls, and they're averaging between, I would say, between 10, 11 up to anything up to maybe 14, 15. Okay, and then where is the other? And then if you go onto his pictures, this becomes a theme. He is screenshotting young girls. I mean, this is September 2025. I mean, look at the age of this girl here. Yeah. Young, very young. And these girls here, no older than maybe 12, 13, 14 years old. So this is, yeah, for anyone that's just joined, I just want to make this completely clear because this is an important video. Anyone that's just joined, this is a migrant phone that was found by myself on the beach in France as we were on the beach doing what we were doing. Luckily for us, it wasn't on. It was off. I charged it. I turned it on. Long and behold, no pin. this is where we're at. So if you look at the pictures that on his phone, he's just got obsession with taking screenshots of very young girls. And he's doing this, I think some of these girls are actually, I mean, again, this girl here, which I believe is from the video, is actually his screensaver. Yeah? His screensaver is this young girl. And this girl is not connected to him. This is one of the girls from the video. His obsession is that heightened that he's put that of his screen as a screen protector. Now, the other thing is I need to show you is this is the account that he has made. Oh, hold on, let me go back. So he's searching young girls, okay? And then if we go on to who he follows, again, this is the fake account that he has made under the name Roy Russ, okay? And let's have a little look who he follows. Just loads and loads of young girls, okay? Young girls. Just young girls. I mean, look how young they are. I mean, you're talking no older than 13. No older than 13. And this is why, again, it is so important that people understand how dangerous it is to have your young daughters, our young daughters, on the internet. My daughter doesn't have access to the internet. She has no phone. She doesn't go on anything. She doesn't have a laptop, a tablet, nothing. Because it's important that people understand that even though you think your daughter is being protected online, there are people like this that are taking their pictures. So again, very, very important that you check what your daughters are doing and your sons, because there are a lot of weirdos, as we can see. So I want to then go on to another point that I want to make. Okay, and this is very important that we do this and understand it. This is his main page. Okay, this is his actual Instagram page. Let's just have a little look. As you can see when it loads up, okay, this is him. This is our little nonce friend. Okay, this is him. And if you can read there, where is he? He's currently on the 17th of January. He's in Glasgow. So he made it. He made it. He made it across. So let's see what he's been doing on his main profile. Yeah, this is his main profile, not his made up one. Let's have a little look. Oh, what do we see here? 12 hours ago. Yeah, look how young this girl is. Look how young this girl is. 12 hours ago. He's writing, whatever that says in his language. Show translation. Hello there. How old are you? Now, if we go into her profile, yeah, you can clearly see she is very, very young. This is a predator. And what he's doing is look, there, young girl, another young girl, another young girl, another very young girl. Look how young they are. No older than 13 years old. Okay, so this guy is a predator, 100%. Yeah, he's got videos. He's got videos of himself talking to very young girls, asking them to marry him. Now comes the shocking part. I know where this guy is. I know what hotel he's in. And the reason I know that is because I have this. I have, when it loads up, 1 second. This is his asylum claim. So he is, oh, where has it gone? I've gone on the wrong one. But basically, okay, so here we go. On the 13th of January, 2026, he had his asylum interview Yeah, so he's come over. He has come over, I believe, late November, because the videos and the pictures stop. And he's now in Glasgow. I'm not going to share on the internet now which hotel he's in, even though I want to, because if anything were to happen, it'd probably be on me. But we are going to pass this on. I've tried to pass it on to people that I believed would be suitable to take this on. I don't think I was the right person, but it's not happening quick enough. And I'm worried that this phone will be wiped. I'm worried that I'll lose access. I'm worried that I'll lose. This guy is a predator. There is probably much more on this phone. There's a lot of Arabic text that is being sent between him and other men in Sudan. A roadmap on how to get through. Just to give you an idea of how long this guy's been doing what he's been doing. Also, I went on to his history on his internet browser, and when I went onto there, he's just looking at porn, and then looking how to use boats, how to steer boats. He was obviously picked potentially to be the person that steered the boat. So, yeah. And then the other thing that I want people to understand is where this guy, where he's come from. I mean, look at it all. This girl here, yeah. It's just young girls. But if we go back as far as we go, you can see his journey. Look, another girl there. Look, just young girls, and then he starts to travel. He's on a boat here. And then they've come off the boat. This is the trip to Italy. So Italy, I believe, was the first port of call. So I'm guessing from the north coast of Africa into Italy. He's then on some sort of ferry, as you can see. It's got a huge, a complete roadmap of how this guy's got here. And then he's from a ferry. This guy's clearly... keep going. And then somehow he ends up somewhere with snow. Could be Italy still. Mountains of Italy, I don't know. And then we find him... I'm guessing these are NGOs, I would have thought. Probably NGOs. They look very much like NGOs. You got road maps of... So now he's in Paris. So I think he's gone through Italy into Paris. Like, this is why we went to Paris, because he's clearly in Paris. And then we start seeing more... I believe that's him. I believe that is him. This is a different boat. He's obviously learned how to... But he's got a T-shirt on, so I don't think this is November, because if it was November, he definitely wouldn't be doing that. But look. Young girls. Look. Young girls. Obsession. Look how old she is. I know she's got a toy gun. She's got a toy gun in her hand, but she's about, what, 12 years old? Young girls. This is a predator. How can we allow these type of men to just walk into our country completely unchecked? And this is the reason why we are the way we are. And this is the reason why I am the way I am. And why I believe that the time for sitting around and doing nothing and trying to plan things and it going, if it would have happened on anyone's watch, if anyone would have gone into France as a group, this inevitable ban would have happened on every level. This isn't something to do with personally with me. I was just the one that initiated it. And it's very, very clear that this gentleman here is a danger. He's a danger to children. He's a danger to young girls. He's a danger to the Scottish community. And this needs to be passed on. And I'm going to do that tomorrow. but I needed you to understand what I'm seeing, and if that's the mindset of someone that we've found on, you know, imagine, you just can't imagine what could potentially be coming. I mean, this is clear evidence that these men are not westernized because they're fantasizing over young girls, and that's a problem. That's a problem, yeah, on every level. So, you know, I had to get this out today. I attempted to pass this on to, I believe, people that were more qualified, more able to do this, maybe to look into this phone a little bit more. And I'm still happy to do that, but they just weren't moving on it. And I felt like before I lost access, because I know that some of the left are now going to probably message that guy and probably tell him we've got it. So I've taken everything off this phone. So you lefties, if you're going to try and get him to change his passwords, good luck, because it doesn't matter, because I've got everything off. But it just shows even 12 hours ago, this guy was trying to message 11, 12-year-old girls. So going back to really quickly to what we achieved on Saturday, because by the threat of us coming to France, it activated this ban. And what this ban did is it activated the French authorities, even to the level of MI5 version, the version of MI5 in France that were plain clothes, looking along the beaches. But do you know what that did? It enabled the French authorities to, well, why they were looking for us and why they were trying to stop British and English men from taking a stand on those beaches, they actually prevented the migrant boats from leaving. And why did that happen? Because the French knew that the migrants knew there were so many police around that they probably wouldn't make it to the beach. So they just didn't try, even though the weather was on some days in the last week have been favourable, and they've gone in much worse conditions. So it shows that all it needs is pressure, continuous pressure. So Operation Overlord will continue. We are not advocating now for anyone to travel to France. It is now too dangerous for British people, British lads to travel. We've got an idea. We're going to do it with the team that we've got. We're going to keep that pressure on. If the French want to keep putting this ban in place, which then makes the authorities take huge actions of police resources into the areas to actually stop the migrant boats, if that's the way we've got to do it, then that's the way it's going to be done. Because the end result is the end result. It doesn't really matter how it's done as long as the boats stop. And that is the main thing here. So, you know, this was always going to happen. If anyone thinks that anyone else was just going to waltz into France in groups and suddenly they weren't going to do this, this is always the plan. This was orchestrated, and my sources confirmed it and proven it to me. This was all orchestrated by the French authorities and the NGOs working hand in hand together. But the reason for this video was very much the migrant phone. I've shown you the proof of this phone, that this man has an obsession with young girls. He's a danger to our community. He should not be in this country. He travelled through many countries, safe countries he could have sought asylum in. I believe by some of the paperwork he received asylum in Italy and chose to leave, probably because Italy has now become a very right-leaning country and they probably weren't giving the migrants what they do in England. So he tried his chances. So I'd ask you, please, if you can, to hype this video. I'd ask you to share it. This is a serious national security risk to our children, and it needs to be treated like this. This is gold dust. This doesn't happen often. Imagine finding a phone on a beach that belongs to a migrant that hasn't got a PIN number on it and shows the roadmap of how they're moving all around Europe, and then showing that he's got an obsession and screen recording himself asking 11, 12-year-old girls to marry him. I mean, people need to see this. Just like the whistleblower interview, they need to see this. This isn't about me. This isn't about what I do or people like what I do or don't do. This is about the protection and understanding that this is proof that these migrants are a danger to our country and, most importantly, a danger to our children. So please treat it with that respect. Please like it, share it, and hype it so it gets seen. And I will be passing this on, making contact. I've removed everything I can off here that I believe is evidence to prove what we're talking about. Because I know if I pass this phone over to the authorities, it'll probably disappear. Because this is not good for the image. This is not good for the image of the UK government, and we know it. Anyone that wants to say that this is a lie, I mean, I think by what I've shown you on here today, it categorically proves this is a migrant phone. There's, you know, screensaver is an 11, 12-year-old girl. That's his obsession. And this girl here was on one of those videos. He has a heightened obsession with this young girl who is very, very young. Please treat it with respect. I thank you for tuning in. I hope it's been a bit of more of an eye opener. It's probably stressing people out. This is the reality. This is the reality. One of the things that has become very apparent, and as I say, I always speak my mind. I always say things as they are, and some people don't like it. Tough shit. I don't think the country's ready for what needs to happen yet. And I don't say that. I say that with sadness. How much more evidence do we need? How much more proof of what's actually going on do people need? I think some more horrific shit will need to happen before people truly wake up and understand where I'm at and where my brain's at, and that what I tried to do in France worked. They put so much resources. It cost them 2.5 million euros, that operation over the weekend leading into Wednesday. They had more police on the streets of northern France than a World Cup game. It was just for little old me and a few lads. So imagine what it could have happened if thousands would have turned up. Think about that. There are others now that will try and blame what I've done to say they now can't go to France. Yes, we will. We'll continue to go to France. When that ban finishes, there is no legal stance. But we would not advocate for anyone to go to France. It is now. I've seen the reaction. The guy that was arrested and held for a week wasn't even in France on the day that we asked people to come to France. It was on the Sunday. And people still tried to blame me. When in reality, even the own guy came out and said, his wife, and said, this has nothing to do with Danny. I'm not willing to have that on my head. I don't think the country's ready for what needs to happen. I say that with sadness. I think there are huge figures around the UK, big patriotic figures. And no, I'm not talking about Tommy. I'm talking about others that just want to do the things that they're doing the way they want to do it, because I believe a lot of this is a contributing factor to a lot. And I think there is a lot of people that talk and make a lot of money from talking. And until that is realised, that that's not the solution to this. The political solution is a great long-term solution to move our country in a different direction. But if you and me and others just sit on our bums for the next 3 years, we're going to be in a serious situation, and I'm very worried. So that's it. Migrant phone, please share it. Don't waffle anymore. I'm going to bed. Please share the video, like the video. If you care about your children, you care about the fact that these men are around. This guy is now sat in Glasgow. He is a danger. He's a paedophile. He's a nonce. He is everything that this phone tells me he is. Like and share. Make sure this information gets out. And I'll finish with, I hope one day the men of England, the men of Britain understand what needs to be done. Until that day, good luck.